The poultry industry in Nigeria is one of the major sources of animal protein supply to the people. Daily, key products of the poultry industry such as eggs, egg powder, and poultry meat, they feature prominently on the menu of millions of Nigerians and shape their culinary habits. Good evening. My name is Chinemerem Joseph, and you're welcome to this edition of You and the Economy. As crucial as the poultry industry is in ensuring that millions of Nigerians are fed daily with vital nutrition, the supply of eggs and poultry meat falls far short of demand. Imagine that the deficit in the number of birds alone once stood at 35 million. That of eggs is also in the region of 140,000 metric tons, while the shortfall of poultry meat in relation to demand is just about 1.2 million metric tons. More worrisome is the fact that attempts to fill these yawning gaps have been mainly through smuggling, a phenomenon that exerts undue pressure on Nigeria's foreign reserves and which is of great concern to the Central Bank of Nigeria, CBN. In this edition of You and the Economy, we examine what is being done by the Central Bank of Nigeria to deepen Nigeria's poultry subsector through its deliberate interventions, a move that is in line with its mandate to ensure price stability in the economy. As you will see shortly, the poultry industry is enjoying a boost as a result of the interventions of the CBN in this critical subsector of Nigeria's agricultural sector. Indeed, the ultimate objective of the CBN is to eliminate the importation of all poultry products by 2023. Now, let's see how the Apex Bank has gone about achieving this goal.
Poultry production has indeed come a long way in Nigeria. In summary, the evolution of the enterprise that is known as poultry today began with the ubiquitous household-based breeding and selling of wild chicken, popularly known as native fowl in towns and villages in the country. This remained the face of poultry in Nigeria up until the 1960s. This mainly subsistence and partly commercial mode of breeding chicken metamorphosed into a modern and coordinated model featuring small, medium, and large-scale poultry production. All these three practices subsequently transformed into the poultry subsector of Nigeria's agricultural sector. Presently, the focus of poultry production in Nigeria is usually threefold. These are hatcheries, layers, and broilers. The legion of small-scale poultries that abound in the country and the widespread affinity of hundreds of thousands of households for breeding of chickens, mostly in their backyards, often suggest that Nigeria has a very vibrant poultry industry. However, empirical facts, especially the ones that capture the supply of poultry products in relation to demand, show that poultry business in the country is still not active enough to meet the needs of Nigerians for poultry products. And, by the way, poultry products are not limited to birds, as they also include eggs and egg powder. If truth be told, meeting the poultry needs of Nigeria is a gargantuan task. This is so because the country's huge population, currently estimated at 200 million, exerts intense pressure on demand for poultry products, especially as the population is believed to be growing exponentially at a rate of 3% annually. To compound matters, while Nigeria's population continues to increase rapidly, the supply of poultry products has not matched this growth rate. Yet, poultry products are popular with Nigerians, regardless of their social status. Besides the immense popularity of eggs on the breakfast menu of many Nigerians, the poultry industry also enjoys a great deal of prominence in the country because it is one of the major sources of supply of animal protein to Nigeria's teeming population. Indeed, the Food and Agricultural Organization (FAO) of the United Nations regards the poultry subsector as the most commercialized of all Nigeria's agricultural subsectors. Also, studies conducted by the Poultry Association of Nigeria (PAN) in 2015 show that the subsector contributes about 25% of agricultural GDP of the Nigerian economy, with a net worth of about 1.6 trillion naira. On the supply side, statistics compiled by the FAO indicate that in 2019, poultry production in Nigeria accounted for about 1.5 million metric tons of meat, 3.8 million eggs, which is about 650,000 metric tons, and a standing population of 180 million birds per annum. Although these figures look impressive, the truth is that the story of the poultry subsector in Nigeria is one characterized by deficits, as the supplies of key products have almost always fallen short of demand. For example, whereas total demand for birds as at 2019 was estimated at over 200 million annually, total supply was about 180 million. The picture for eggs was not any different. While demand stood at about 790,000 metric tons annually in the same period, supply was 650,000 metric tons, thus posting a deficit of 140,000 metric tons. The narrative for poultry meat was equally the same. While demand stood at 2.7 million metric tons, supply was 1.5 million metric tons, leaving another deficit of 1.2 million metric tons in its trail. Expectedly, these deficits left a huge demand gap which, up until recently, was met, rather unfortunately for the economy, by smuggling. In fact, it was estimated that over 1.2 million metric tons of undocumented poultry meat is smuggled into Nigeria annually from neighboring countries in the West Africa coast. Apart from draining Nigeria's foreign reserves, the phenomenon of smuggling practically brought the domestic poultry industry to its knees. Philip Yila Yusuf is the Director, Development Finance Department of the CBN, the department of the Apex Bank that superintends the intervention initiatives of the bank in the economy.
We've seen a trend where imported or poultry products, either chicken, its other derivatives are, smuggled into the country at a cheaper end cost. So that has dampened a lot of production locally. A lot of small-scale players have had to be run out of business. So that's been largely what's been responsible for the death of the poultry industry in Nigeria.
While the smuggling of poultry products, mainly chicken, was the most critical challenge it's contended with, the local poultry industry has also faced other debilitating challenges which have also conspired to prevent it from thriving. These hobbling factors include high production costs stemming from the paucity of integrated and automated poultry farms that could have triggered the transformation required to bring costs down substantially. Safety concerns due to lack of sanitary controls and lack of access to low-cost, long-term finance for large and small-scale poultry farmers. But in spite of the critical challenges the poultry subsector continued to contend with, the Central Bank of Nigeria has been undeterred in the resolve to intervene in the beleaguered subsector in order to reverse the trend. Indeed, the governor of the CBN, Godwin Emefiele, believes that in spite of its myriad challenges, Nigeria's poultry subsector deserves attention to enable it ramp up supply and erase yawning demand gaps for its products. Emefiele has reasoned rightly that with the country's population growing exponentially, Nigeria's foreign reserve will equally continue to be eroded if the importation of birds and other derivatives of the poultry industry like eggs and powder continued unabated, all in the bid to meet demand deficits in the face of high appetite for poultry products in the country. As prelude to rolling out its interventions to revive the poultry subsector, the CBN collaborated with fiscal authorities to stem the tide of smuggling of poultry products into the country. This step was regarded as crucial so that continued smuggling of the products does not jeopardize the efficacy and success of the far-reaching measures the bank had decided to adopt to turn around the fortunes of the subsector. Ezekiel Ibrahim Mam is the national president of the Poultry Association of Nigeria, PAN.
The government has been on its toes. The customs are doing their best to ensure that smuggled frozen chicken does not land on our borders. So the essence is actually protecting the industry, but there is a limit to that. The long-term solution is to ensure that we increase this production, and I think that is what the Central Bank of Nigeria is doing.
Another crippling factor that coalesced with smuggling to bring the poultry subsector in Nigeria to its knees, and which the CBN straightened out to revive the sector, was the prohibitive cost and resultant lack of poultry feed. Like all animals, poultry birds must be fed and raised to maturity before they end up on lunch and dinner tables. With the protracted adversities that the Nigerian economy has been experiencing over time, the cost of poultry feed shot up considerably and became unaffordable to many poultry farmers. This unfortunate development forced a large number of poultry farmers out of business, thus aggravating the demand gap in the subsector. To halt this worrisome trend, the CBN leveraged on the loan repayment innovation it had introduced in the implementation of its Anchor Borrowers Program (ABP), a single-digit interest credit scheme, to make maize, the core raw material required to produce chicken feed, available to feed mills at cheaper cost. This innovation allowed the use of farm produce as an option to cash to repay the loans obtained under the scheme. These farm produce, which also include outputs such as these bags of rice paddy displayed in pyramid shape, and also these bags of maize equally arranged in pyramid shape for display, are subsequently transferred to millers at relatively cheap prices. This intervention, in the case of maize, ultimately made chicken feed cheaper and affordable. This has encouraged many poultry farmers who had quit the business to go back to it, thus boosting output in the subsector.
People forget that feed is also a big cost line item for the poultry industry. Recently, we rolled out our strategic maize reserve. What the central bank has said is, as part of its Anchor Borrower program, anytime you do cultivation, the smallholder farmer doesn't need to pay only in cash. If he has produce, we'll take it. So if you have maize, we'll take maize as repayment, both from the small-scale farmers and also the prime anchors that we fund. So giving that maize directly to the feed millers, at concessionary prices so that they can mill and provide feed to the poultry industry has really cut down their operational costs.
Their intervention has brought some succor because the grain that they are giving out, as home is not available. Where will we be today? It has greatly impacted. That's why we are appreciative.
The provision of credit at concessional rates is one of the time-honored financial strategies for revitalizing troubled sectors of an economy or enhancing their performances. It is no surprise, therefore, that this has been one of the strategies adopted by the CBN to revamp the poultry subsector in Nigeria. Through its various windows used as channels for advancing credit to and revamping some troubled sectors of the economy, the CBN has been injecting huge funds at single-digit interest rates into the poultry subsector to turn its fortunes around. One of the windows it has been using vigorously to realize this goal is the Agribusiness Small and Medium Enterprise Investment Scheme, AGMIS, an intervention initiative jointly driven by the CBN and the Bankers Committee. AGMIS has been used decisively to encourage as many ordinary Nigerians as possible to take to poultry farming. This is being done by providing loans to those Nigerians interested in going into poultry farming and who have developed well-packaged business plans that are adjudged to be viable. Thanks to AGMIS, thousands of small poultry farms have sprung up all over Nigeria, and their impressive outputs have been helping to bridge the wide gap previously experienced in the demand for poultry products in relation to supply. Available data show that close to 1 billion naira had been disbursed to 433 poultry farmers and 122 poultry projects under the CBN/Bankers Committee funded AGMIS by the end of 2020.
34% of what we've done for AGMIS for Agric, a large portion of it is for the poultry business. We believe that smallholder farmers, with improved practices and more output and complementing what the large-scale players are doing, will be able to bridge national demand, and then we'll stop the embarrassing bringing of poultry products across the border from the likes of the Republic and Cameroon.
Another concessionary loan platform used by the CBN to transform the poultry subsector is its Commercial Agriculture Credit Scheme, CACS. Under the scheme, the CBN had released more than 35.9 billion naira to 166 poultry projects as of 2020.
We appreciate the level of cooperation we are getting now, especially of recent with the development finance of CBN. And we hope this relationship will continue to blossom, not with us as Poultry Association alone, but all the commodity association and the manufacturers.
Yet another channel through which the CBN chose to transform the poultry subsector is its university-based Poultry Revitalization Program. The CBN-driven university-based Poultry Revitalization Program was initiated in July 2019 to enable the Apex Bank collaborate with select Nigerian universities through interfaces like the one ongoing here, and also by offering tangible financial support so that the institutions can bring the expertise of their relevant faculties/colleges and results of research work on the poultry sector to bear in reinvigorating the industry. This is with a view to further addressing the demand gap for poultry products and unleashing the caged potential of Nigerian poultry producers. 12 universities spread across the 6 geopolitical zones of the country were co-opted into the program by the CBN, out of which 5 were selected for its pilot phase. Since most households still breed local fowls, FUNAB has embarked on an initiative to leverage on this common poultry production platform to boost supply of poultry products. This it has done by altering the genetics of the common local breed fowls to breed variants branded FUNAB Alpha, with potential to grow big in size and produce eggs in impressive proportions like imported exotic breeds do, thus increasing the output of birds. At this incubator, run under its FUNAB Alpha project, and which has a capacity for between 35,000 to 50,000 eggs, FUNAB breeds stocks of cocks and hens which through artificial insemination are genetically modified to produce quality chicks and eggs to increase the population of birds in the country. Curriculum of the university is also being reviewed to focus on the strengthening of the poultry production value chain and impart in its students values that will make them appreciate the benefits of engaging in poultry production profitably. Dr. Matthew Weto of the Department of Animal Breeding and Genetics, FUNAB, speaks on how the agriculture-focused university is faring in the realization of the objectives of the Apex Bank's university-based poultry revitalization program.
We've been able to develop a breed of chicken from our indigenous animal genetic resources called FUNAB Alpha breed. And with the help of the intervention, we've been able to register the breed as the first of its kind in Nigeria. In terms of production, they've been able to produce about 260 eggs per year. And that is exactly what the exotic breed are producing. At the point of 16 weeks, at the age of 16 weeks, our FUNAB Alpha comes to lay, while some of the exotic use more than 18 and 24 weeks to come to lay. As a nation, we don't need to rely more on importation. We just need to try as much as possible to be able to develop this breed and multiply it and send it to nook and crannies of this nation.
The initiative, in my own opinion, and with the partnership from CBN and the university, is able to completely revitalize or revamp the entire poultry industry along the poultry value chain.
It is obvious that things are looking up again in the poultry subsector in Nigeria. With support coming from the CBN and the fiscal authorities, it is expected that intervention in the poultry sector would yield the desired benefits, especially in creating jobs, promoting food sufficiency, and eliminating the importation of poultry products by 2023 as targeted by the CBN.
Sure, is bright, and it's been one of the hallmarks of President Muhammadu Buhari, focus on agriculture so that we can improve productivity, get jobs for our people, and get a lot of our youths engaged. A lot of our youths are playing in the poultry segment, and a lot of them are making money. Sure, is bright for the poultry industry.
You're welcome back. Now, unbelievable as it may sound, the truth is that output in Nigeria's poultry industry has for so long been unable to meet demand, and the resort to smuggling to meet the shortfall has contributed to eroding Nigeria's foreign reserve. But all that may soon be a thing of the past. As you saw in this edition of the program, the Central Bank of Nigeria has taken the bull by the horns and is confronting head-on the challenges of the poultry subsector. It is believed that if all stakeholders cooperate with the Central Bank of Nigeria in the implementation of its interventions in the subsector, the goal of eliminating the importation of all poultry products into the country by 2023 will be achieved with the attendant benefits for the Nigerian economy. As usual, we enjoin you to log on to the CBN's website. It's www.cbn.gov.ng, or call the CBN Contact Center on 0700 225 5226 for more information on the CBN's policies and its intervention programs. And with that, we sign off on this week's edition of You and the Economy. Be sure to join us again next week when we shall bring you another illuminating episode of the program. For now, it's goodbye until we come your way again next week.